I'm now going to explain what is the content of a PPCL notebook, so Python in the physical chemistry lab in a nutshell notebook. So let's move to this notebook. I am still in my web browser. I already have opened a session, a Jupyter Lab session, okay. This is the PPCL notebook. It does not look the same if you watch the other videos. It does not look the same as in the previous videos. Why? Because I restarted the kernel. Okay, so it lost the visual identification identifier of his notebooks. So I have to run again the first cell that will import, in particular, the so-called cascade sheet, style sheet that gives this visual ID, this visual ID. It's the so-called CSS. The short name for that is CSS. It's the same as in HTML. It's exactly the same syntax. So let's run it to see what is the purpose of this initialization cell, among other initialization stuff. So now we can skip, because it was proposed in the previous video. We can skip reading the first part and just go here to the first steps first. So let's analyze what is provided here. Again, I'm not going to enter into the details. I'm not going to comment every cell. I'm just going to comment what is proposed in this notebook, so that you can very quickly identify whether you need a refresher on Python, or whether you are confident that you master enough Python so that you can skip consulting this notebook. So let's go to let's click here. You see the cursor. I'm on the left part of the screen. I'm going to click on the icon here in order to see what is the table of contents of this notebook. So there are so there are 13 sections. The first one, it's about getting started with Jupyter notebooks. The second one is about variables, physical and mathematical constants. Maybe you can have a look on that, okay, on this guy, or maybe not. No, not yet. So it's about physical and mathematical constants. Yes, you can have a look, because what is suggested here is to use the constants functionality of SciPy. The third subsection is about formatted printing and significant figures. Then it's about lists and arrays. Okay, so if you need a refresher on that, it's in section 3. Function 4, it's basic plotting, and with an introduction to the definition of functions. Okay, and a word about indentation. But if you are familiar with Python, even if you only know basics about Python, you know that indentation is very important. Okay, when you define functions, or when you define loops or conditions. Okay, so you have here the definition of function, how to do that, and it's always in this notebook, in principle, it's always in the context of physical chemistry. Okay, so here you can see there is a very famous thermodynamical equation that gives a relationship of the free energy of a reaction as a function of the equilibrium constant of this reaction at a given temperature T. Okay, and well, the exercise here consists in implementing the code to define such a function. Okay, and if you don't know how to do that, you can see that there are as well green markdown cells with answer, saying that if you want to see a possible answer, possible solution to this exercise, you just have to uncomment this line below. I can do that. And you press Shift Enter it automatically loads the solution to the exercise that was contained in this Python file here. And then if you want to run it, you just have to do Shift Enter again. Okay? I'm going to delete it to go back to the previous state. Okay, and there are a couple of things that are commented here. For example, the interest of writing a docstring, so-called docstring section, saying that it's part of a good practice when you do Python programming. Okay. Once you have defined a function, your own function, once you have imported a previously defined function, you can, for example, plot it. Okay, very important to do plots in science, not only in numerical science, but in science in general, to see trends, to see relationships. So the basic Python library is matplotlib that contains a so-called pyplot module. So you can do plots here, get familiar with plots here, have a reminder of how to do plots here. You have an application here. You can run, of course, we do not see the output of these cells because you will run it. You will run this notebook. You will answer the exercises. You will run the cells, and you will see, and you have to analyze the outcome of each cell, of each operations. Okay. So here, well, here is the so-called Sabatier-like volcano that is illustrated. Okay, but this is physical chemistry and heterogeneous catalysis. Actually, it's a concept in heterogeneous catalysis, but whatever. Okay, even if you do not understand what, if you do not remember what heterogeneous catalysis is, you can do the exercise and you can figure out what it is about here. Then how to do linear regression. So it's model fitting, the fifth part. It's about model fitting with linear regression and non-linear models. Okay, how to do that. And you will learn to do that with, for example, with NumPy. If you want to do numerical integrals and numerical derivatives, there are as well libraries that allow to do that. Okay, so the important thing with Python, so this is the sixth section, the important characteristic of Python is that, of course, you can reinvent algorithms, you can implement them, okay, but maybe it's not, how would I say, it's not the best way to do, and because actually there are a lot of libraries that provide algorithms that have been implemented in a clever way, okay, and very efficient way. For example, the SciPy library. So use, for example, here it's the Simpson, so-called Simpson method to calculate integrals. Okay, so it's better to learn what is provided by the main Python and the most prominent Python libraries. Okay, so from time to time you have a pay attention information. Okay, and so read it carefully. A new application here, it's about NMR. Okay, so in NMR, if you, of course, you probably are aware that in NMR, integration is an important operation because the integration of peaks gives you the number of protons, for example, in the proton NMR, so the number of nuclei actually that are characterized by peaks. Okay, so this is an interesting application related to NMR, of integration applied to NMR with plots. Okay, the way to generalize code, blah blah blah. Then conditional branching and looping structure, so reminder about loops. Okay, and how to read, and in the meantime you will learn here how to read data from text files, okay, to directly read tabulated data in text files. Okay, there are several possibilities, but one possibility is given here, although there are more powerful libraries to do that, but this is the most simple way. Blah blah blah, and then interactive scripts with the input function, and then I think it's important to be aware that Python is provides well, the way to program to apply algorithms, to define algorithms in Python is in the context of object-oriented programming, and you must understand what it is. Okay, so there are not so many things that are explained on that. Okay, it's a more advanced topic, but try to understand what is explained here. And you have an example here of definition of a class. So what I want you to read here and to discover, and I think it's important, is what is a class, what is a class attribute or a class variable, what is an instantiation or an instance attribute, and for example, you can apply that, not apply that because you have the solution here that is given. Okay, you just have to read because it may be more complicated. So in this case, the solution is directly given. So the idea is to write a square class and then to define properties associated to a square instance. For example, the perimeter of a square, the area of a square, the circumradius of a square, and the inscribed circle radius of a square. Okay, so these are basic examples, and then how to use this square class. I think it's very important for you to understand that, because when you start with Python, sometimes you don't understand why there is this strange thing. For example, you have a list, you say, or a table, an array, and you say array.sum instead of writing sum between brackets array. Okay, if you want to calculate the sum of all the elements of a so-called NumPy array, just have to write array.sum. Okay, the name of the array.sum instead of sum of the array. So why is it so? Because the array is an instance of a NumPy library. So you have to understand that. I think it will be interesting for you, and it will avoid in the future. It will avoid making mistakes, probably. The ninth part is about I call that Python fancy plotting. So the how to take advantage of the object-oriented approach to do animated plots. Okay, so there are several possibilities to do animated plots, but this is a quite simple one. You must be aware that there are other libraries. Everything is done with Matplotlib. There are other libraries such as Dash or Plotly that allow to do that as well. But this is a way to do it, a quite simple way for at least for a one-dimensional function. Okay, the last thing is about the interactive Matplotlib plots. I put that at the end. I could have been put elsewhere, but well, it's worth knowing that there is there is a widget that allows an interactive plotting. Okay, some final words and finally bibliography part. So in bibliography part, of course, you can find a lot of Python lectures and tutorials everywhere. But what I wanted to cite here is an article from the Journal of Chemical Education, and the two authors underline that programming in Python and empowers scientists to apply their knowledge to scales beyond what can be accomplished with manual effort. It's very important to be aware of that. And whether automating operations for large volumes of data, solving numerical problems, or creating simulations, there is a wealth of application out there. And we have only just scratched the surface. And it is exactly what we have done, what you will do in this notebook. You will only just scratch the surface. Okay, enjoy. Bye bye.